is everybody?
Oh, they're sleeping in.
It's the day after a holiday and a Saturday, so they've all rested and recovering from their holiday hangover.
I'm recovering every day.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
People wake up.
Oh yeah, you got plenty now.
It's all at once, huh?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this thing go up anymore. Lift went high. No, it does not.
Sounds like no.
Okay, so just got through putting the transmission after a bunch of modifying because I run a GM starter on all my street cars, a little gear reducted GM starter like they put on LS's. Because if I lose the starter out on the road, go to any O'Reilly's and get them. The problem is they got a rib on the nose of the starter. So as you can see, it is a tight, well, actually it didn't fit. That's where all the aluminum is. Lots of modification to the bell housing to get it to slide over it. Which, yes, it'd be easier to grind the starter, but then if you break a nose cone, you get another starter, you gotta do that shit on the side of the road. Since I drive this car a lot, fixing to drive it even more, I figured I just better do it the right way. So, I told you guys the other day about this Turbo 350 with the SFI case that we're testing out to see how much power one of these will take. I don't know if I made it clear the other day. The other thing about Turbo 350 over a 400, it's like these noses have got a little bitty tiny tunnel. You can see where I had to modify this one to fit a 400. But Turbo 350 slides right up in there. Since you guys like this technical shit more, let me point out something where a lot of people get in fucking trouble, knock front pumps out of transmissions. My pierce thing. That converter is only supposed to pull from all the way back. It's only supposed to pull out of there 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch. Everybody thinks, oh, you just pull it up there and bolt it up. No, you do not. See the gap right here? Need some light on it?
Yeah.
Hang on, we'll shine some light on the subject. That gap right there is only supposed to be between 1/8 and 3/16 of an inch. If you got more than that and you pull the converter back, there's 2 splines in that converter that slide into that front pump on a GM. If you pull it back, you're probably going to snap the converter. If you push it in too far, the motor has thrust, especially on these blower cars with a Pro Charger and nitrous. It pushes it back, it's going to push it in the front pump and kill the transmission.
For those that are just joining in, what are you working on?
I'm working on my Nova, trying to get it done so I can go back out and do a little playing on the street. So I was putting the Turbo 350 in. I'm telling everybody how to make sure you shim your converter correctly, because you'd be surprised at how much shit gets tore up because that little simple deal right there. Now, if you're too tight, which is not good, you need to pull the converter back out and you need to take some off of the lugs. If you're too tight. Look right here, I got a perfect 1/8 of an inch. If it's too loose, like Marty Chance has spacers that bolt onto his converters for mid plates and all that, or you can actually just put washers in there. 1/8 of an inch at 3/16 of an inch from all the way back, pull it out. That should be the amount that the converter comes out of the front pump to hook up to the flywheel. So, there you guys, you'd be surprised how many guys that's done shit their whole life don't know that. They just stick it up there, they pull it out, and whatever it is, it is. Not all things are equal. So, check your clearance on your front pump. Make sure you got 1/8 of an inch between your flywheel and your converter. So you don't fuck the front pump up, don't fuck the transmission up. So, there you go. Happy belated Merry Christmas to everybody. I was actually down here working on this, so I'm gonna get back to working on it. You guys can get back to curing your hangovers. What?
Question.
What?
Which kind of in sync with. So an LS starter is high torque and it will bolt on a conventional small or big block.
Well,
Is that correct?
GM makes a gear reducted starter, a little bitty tiny starter that they put on LSs and they put on some of the later style big blocks and shit like that. But it's a gear reducted starter, so it's no different than the GP starters and all that you buy. And I hardly ever lose one. I mean, I run them on just about everything that I drive on the street. I run one of them because if something happens, you go right to O'Reilly's, AutoZone, anywhere, and you can get you a brand new starter. So that's why I run them.
How much horsepower will your Nova make?
The Nova made before on pump gas and 14 or 16 pounds of boost with 20 degrees total timing in it. It made 998 at the time.
So you took a turbo 400 out of this car.
Yes.
And put a turbo 350 in.
Yes.
How will that change your performance? Like, does it pick up? What will it pick up?
Here's the thing: Turbo 350 is lighter, and the shifts are snappy. There's no transmission. It is my favorite transmission for shifting. The problem's always been with the Turbo 350. They won't take no. If you turn the line pressure up, you'll split the stock case. ATI is the only one that ever came out with a aftermarket case. What you giggling about?
Somebody asked where Waldo was. Waldo is not here yet.
Waldo somewhere. Just don't know where Waldo is. So, I put the Turbo 350 in here because it's lighter. They shift faster. And there's another reason, but I'm not going to tell you guys that reason. There's a reason all my stuff leaves really good, and it's really fast, short time. It's how I can get a 400 tire to work, but I'm not going to share that with nobody. Everybody will have to figure that out on their own. This car leaves it dead hooks on the street at 18 pounds of boost on a sticky tire. Matter of fact, that's what caused me to have to pull the motor out, put a piston in it. It twisted the car. This car's got a stainless gas tank in it, and at the time, I never had a sump. So the car, it's got a tube that goes from up here that goes down. So when the car twisted, and it twisted really bad, and it did this, it pulled all the fuel away from the tube, leaned the motor down, and cost me a piston. So we put a sump in it. But there's another reason with the Turbo 350, but I'm not trying to play that part. They'll have to figure that out in their own car.
Hang on. Another question.
What?
I like doing these live so they can ask questions. Oh, nope. Don't want to see me. How do I flip it back? Like that. Drive shaft link. Are the drive shaft links also different between the 400 and the 350?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. How much does the Turbo 350 cost that you put in here from ATI?
Good question. That was the thing that kind of shocked me. These Turbo 350s with the good sprag and the SFI case and all that, I'm pretty sure he told me retail almost like $3,900, brand new with an SFI case, which is pretty cool. That's pretty reasonable transmission too, because that's the thing. They built these cases to appease the streetcar guys, bracket guys that want that extra gear. And we're gonna see how much power this will hold. This should take 1,500. So this car with turned up on the bottle, that's probably about what it makes. But if anybody can tear shit up, you guys know I can. So that's why they sent me one.
When will they be available and where can you get them?
They're available now, and all you guys got to do is message Stacy, and Stacy can actually save you some money off retail. So it's a pretty cool deal, and like I say, it's got a good input and output and all that stuff, but we're going to see what shit I can break in it, because whatever I break, they'll build the parts out of better material. That there's just no point in building a bunch of aftermarket stuff if it'll hold. And a stock turbo 350 and stock 400 are pretty damn tough. But we'll see.
Pros and cons to this transmission versus a 2-speed Power Glide. Do you even run power? You haven't ran Power Glide in
Quit running power
forever.
glides. The thing about a power glide is you got a dramatic drop between the 1-2 shift, which is low high. Power glide doesn't work well in a heavy car. It taxes the transmissions too bad. I ran them in heavy cars. That used to be the go-to transmission because one, they were cheap to build. They're easy, the simplest transmission in the world to build. The problem is they don't that gear change. If you've got a 198 low and then you're 1-to-1, the gear change, especially on the street, that gear change is critical. You either got to have the converter loose enough that on the shift it drops about 250 RPM. Because if it drops a lot of RPM, what it does is load the motor, especially nitrous and ProCharge motors. It'll load the motor and make more power, and then it'll knock the tire off. So I don't tell anybody the ratios I run because I run a totally different ratio than most people. But I don't like a lot of ratio between the gear changes. Except the Silver Truck. The Silver Truck has a 280 low gear, which is the lowest low gear I've ever put in anything. But it's super heavy, and that's why that truck won 4, 5, 60 foot. There, I told you guys that much. All right.
What ECU are you using in this car?
What?
What ECU do you have for this car?
So they only make one.
Fuel injected.
They only make one, Holly. Anybody else start making them?
No. That has a sniper, right?
Yeah, I run a blow-through sniper on this car. To everybody's dismay, especially even Holly. But I run no intercooler on it. I run no pump gas. So basically I use a sniper like a blow-through carburetor.
And what converter do you use and what stall?
Marty Champs. That's the only part of that question I'm going to tell. The converter is the key to every one of these cars out here. And Marty's been doing my converters for 15 years, 20 years. Every converter I have, I run Marty Chance's converters. Because you call him with data, you tell him what it's doing, he can tell you how to fix it.
Okay. Another question. Why do a lot of people do LS turbo conversions? Why not Hemi 6.4 liter? Seems the Hemi is the same liter capacity as a Chevy.
Why? Okay. I don't understand the question.
Okay.
Turbo LS conversion.
Do LS turbo conversions. Let's see if he responds.
I guess your question is, why is everybody not putting Hemis and Camaros and Novas and all that? The LS is the bigger choice. Well, one, now this is just what I think. One, it's a GM, so nobody's going to want to put a Hemi on a Nova. But the other part of it is the aftermarket parts are huge for an LS. And with the stuff that Holly's came out with, it is, I gotta sit down. This went longer than I thought. Now my back's starting to hurt. The stuff that Holly's came out with, the sniper stuff, and they do have stuff for the Coyote motors, the Coyotes and the what did I do?
Somebody want to know what transmission fluid you use.
I run Maxima in everything.
Conveniently, you have on a Maxima shirt.
Oh.
And I handed you a bottle of transmission fluid. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And the thing is, I run. Oh, let's finish that LS.
Yeah, yeah.
So the LS, there's tons of them out there. They're cheap to buy. They work good. Coyote motors are cheap to buy and work good, but they're a little harder to fit. You gotta see a Coyote motor; they're super wide. So it basically it's a lot cheaper to build an LS than it is the other ones. But it's been that way for Chevrolet for a long time. You look, big block Chrysler, big block Ford, big block Chevrolet. You find parts all the time for the Chevrolet. You don't hardly find them for the Ford or the Chrysler. Not that any of them makes any more power than the other one. You put the same parts, combustion engine. That's what everybody forgets. And nowadays, nothing's even brand specific anymore. A 481X is not a big block Chevrolet. The Hemis everybody's running, that is not a fucking Chrysler Hemi. That's a hemispherical head, which is a huge fucking thing everybody says. Oh, it's a Hemi. No, it's a hemispherical head. But when you think of a Hemi and a Roadrunner, a 426 Hemi, and the Hemis everybody runs now, nothing is the same. Nothing. Not one part will come off a 426 and fit any of the shit we run. Just like my big block Chevrolet stuff. I stay conventional with mine. I don't get elaborate with it. But at the end of the day, unless you're running a conventional 23-degree head like the 540 was, the 14.5 degree stuff that I ran in Reaper, that's not shit you go buy off. Well, actually, you can. You can buy an 18-degree head from GM back in the day. But none of this stuff is brand specific anymore. Everybody says, hey, I run a Hemi. Well, you may run a Hemi, but don't know if it's not a Hemi like everybody runs, like Vixen. Those Hemis are all billet. There's nothing the same as the Hemi everybody thinks about. Big Block 4, nothing is the same as the Boss 429 or anything like that. So,
What kind of transmission fluid do you use, and is it good for a stock transmission?
I run Maxima in everything.
Every Maxima.
I used to run Amsol. Hated that stuff. You get it any little bit hot at all, it smells like sulfur. I have not lost a transmission or lost a bearing in any motor of mine since I switched everything to Maxima. And when I say I run Maxima in everything, I mean, you guys can see, I run Maxima in everything. I run all the way down. Hell, I even use Maxima BioWash to clean the floor and stuff. So, Maxima, a lot of people don't know that Maxima does as much as they do, but they make assembly lubes, they make all kinds of shit. And I have yet to fail with any of their lubricants.
Do you build your own 9-inch rear end housings?
My brother does.
There was some good discussion back a little ways, but there's been stuff and I can't catch it. But anyway, cool.
Yeah. And by the way, let me say, guys, when I do this stuff, this is the way I do it. It's the way I do it. Opinions like assholes. Everybody's got one. So there's no point in coming on correcting me because I'm not going to listen. Now, if you got a suggestion, if you've got a good suggestion that saves time or money or any of that, of course I'll listen to it. But to come in, some guys come in and go, that's totally wrong. It may be, but it's my way. I'm just telling you what I do, or some of what I do.
Engine oil, Maxima.
I run Maxima engine oil, transmission fluid. I run it in my diesels. I run their coolant. I run their, I use all their cleaners, their suspension clean and contact cleaner. Johnny, everything that we use in this shop that's a solvent or oil, that's the only stuff. As far as I'm concerned, it's like Holly. It's the only one. Holly's the only one that makes ECUs, and Maxima's the only one that makes oil. And I've tried them all. I used to be a huge Valvoline guy. At one time, I jumped on the bandwagon with Castro. Because my boy John Force was running Castro. John Force don't run Castro oil in that fucking car. I find out at a later date. A lot of people talking about Royal Purple. Royal Purple used to be, some good stuff, but that company sold a long time ago. Brad Penn sold a long time ago. A lot of those oil companies that everybody ranted and raved about, they're not what they used to be. Maxima Oil, the guy that owns Maxima Oil, has had an opportunity to sell out to WD-40 and Walmart and wouldn't do it because he don't want them to jack his shit up. So,
what's your opinion on a direct drive turbo 350?
Direct drive turbo 350. Well, I don't run sprint cars, so it would never serve a purpose to me.
What do you run for brakes? Do you have a brand that you swear by?
I run Strange. And guys, listen, this is, as Matt's got a saying, I stick with the dicks and the balls that I know. Same deal here. I've tried every brand of everything out there, and I got to. You guys see how my luck is. I got to stick with the shit that don't cause me problems, and it's not just because they're behind me. It's I believe in every one of these products. Something piqued Stacy's interest. She's trying to find it.
No, there's just so you're holding a really good audience, and there's lots of questions. So I'm just trying to go through and answer them.
Okay.
I asked earlier, did you soup up Santa's sleigh? Not yet. Not yet. He keeps wanting to, but no, he has not.
What?
Have you souped up Santa's sleigh? No. The Yukon is still all stock.
Oh, it won't be. It won't be much longer.
Okay. And no, you're not vaping THC. You're vaping
God,
vape.
I
And
will say
yes,
this again.
I am an ATI dealer. OutOfTimeMotorsports.com or on Facebook.
I do not smoke weed. I don't eat edibles. I none of it. None of it. When everybody says, oh yeah, everybody says they're allergic. Well, I'll end up in a fucking hospital because the last time I did it, that's what happened. It collapses my lungs, and I've spent 3 days in ICU. So you will never see me high. You will never see me partake. I don't give two damns. If everybody says your body changes after 7 years, you may not be allergic now. Fuck that. I'm just not going to do it.
Does Maxima make bearing grease?
Yes. They make a badass assembly lube. Oh, and I don't have the brain cells to spare. Just so everybody knows. Make everything. Wheel bearing grease, a high pressure lube. But Scotty just pulled when we fed all that shit through that motor, it had 89 passes on it and had been 4.0s most of those times, 390s a couple times. And when he pulled them apart, I walked in there and I said, how the bearings look? He goes, like new, like they always do. So I have good luck with all these with Maxima.
Jason Lee, for a case of oil, message the page.
Once you start running, I gave up at Ducks Race, there was a guy that was having bearing issues. About every 5 or 6 runs, they were putting rods in it, and I gave him some Maxima oil, some what I run to try, and he called the local distributor down there and bought a 55-gallon drum of it. Everybody that I've ever had try it has never switched back.
Use their diesel oil too in everything.
I literally
Trucks,
run it in everything.
motorhome, everything.
Chainsaw, lawnmower, everything. Okay, I gotta get back to work. Are we done?
Okay.
Because I gotta get my card together. JJ keeps blowing up my phone trying to buy my Chevy 2, and I keep telling him it's not for sale. He is an insistent bastard. All right, I'm out.